Hi, so in this video what we're going to be looking at is we're going to look at how to do the practice problem number 1 from the class 5 assignment. So this is about doing a simple random sample from a CSV file in R. So step number 1 was it said we should have a directory somewhere, a folder in our directory that is for stat 2300. So we'll see I have a stat 2300 folder. And I said to make a subfolder that was called class 5. On a PC, you can make a new folder by right-clicking and going new, Control-Shift-N. On the Mac, it's either Command-Shift-N or just Command-N. So make a new folder, call it class 5, and then the next step was when you're in it, go and save that bridgeplayers.csv. Now, our next step is going to be getting things working in R. Now, you're probably very accustomed when you want to go and work on something that you open the file that you want to work on. That is not a good workflow when you're using things in R. My suggestion is you get used to making projects. So for every new thing you're going to work on, you make a folder. That folder is going to contain all the files that are relevant to that particular problem. So it could be an assignment, could be a lab report, here practice problems from one particular class. And then what you'll do is you will in R create a project that points to the folder that you made for that one particular thing that you're working on. And the workflow is go into R, open the project, and then it will bring up for you all of your files and settings that you were working on the last time you left it off. And when you're done, you close the project and it'll be ready for you to open a different project. But it'll get rid of all the files that you had up and clear your environment for you. Okay, so let's go and take a peek at my R. We can see what I mean by this project thing. Okay, so here we have R. Now you'll notice that it currently says I have no project. And it's also this random file open. There's a whole bunch of folders here. So what I want to do is I want to create myself a project. So I will go File, New Project. Now, this isn't appearing on your screen, but just believe me that I'm clicking on something that says New Project. Now it's going to ask me whether I want to start my project in a new directory or an existing one. I've already made a folder for class 5, so I'm going to say go to an existing directory. Now I just need to find that folder. So we'll very quickly go and find this folder that I have, stat 2300, class 5, and say here, this is where all the files I want to work on are located. I'm going to hit my open button and you will let me create a project in this directory. So you couldn't see that I was going through my file directory. It does not like recording all the screens. I'm going to hit create project. And now what's going to happen is it is going to start a new file that is here. It is going to be pointed to that folder called class 5. It has that bridgeplayers.csv and it says I am in the class 5 project right here. Awesome. Now my project's here. I need to make a file for myself to work from. So I'm going to go new file, R script. That's just going to give me basically a text pad here for me to work on. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is I want to read in that CSV file. And this is a list of players. So I'm going to call my data frame players and I'm going to assign it to B. So it'll be that data frame that I read in because I'm reading a CSV in. We'll go read.csv. So that's our function. Round brackets after a function and then what we want to apply it to. So we want to apply it to bridgeplayers.csv. Note I put that in quotes. Things that are read in as text other than logical true false get put in quotes in R. So I will run this. So put my cursor here, hit the run, and you'll notice that now it pastes itself here and it runs it. And I suddenly have players appear here as my data. So let's just take a quick peek at what this looks like. So when I run the name of an object, it will show me what's in it. So I hit run and we'll see that this is a thing that has players, rank, and club. So a bunch of player names, their rank, and their club. There's 16 of them, which is awesome. So now what I want to do is I want to draw my simple random sample. So we think this is my sampling frame. I've taken all the people and I've labeled them 1 through 16. So if I want to take a simple random sample, I would like to sample from the numbers 1 through 16, and then I'll find the people that correspond to the numbers that I sampled. Now, this is all well and good, and I'm going to call this number my selection. Now, I could say sample me the numbers 1 through 16. There's nothing wrong with that, but a good principle in coding is that we're going to make our code as general as possible. Maybe someone's going to give me a different bridgeplayers.csv file, or we're going to add people, or we're going to delete it, and I want my code to always work. So it's a good habit, if it doesn't really hurt to make something more general, to make it more general. So to take a sample, we use the sample command, and there are going to be 3 parts: what we're sampling from, how many things we want to sample, and if we're doing it with or without replacement. So I want to take a sample of the numbers 1 through the number of players that I have. So in R, we do that by first number, colon, last number. So I want 1 through the number of players in the column player, the number of people in that column called player, for my players data frame. So the thing to get the number of things in a column or a row is the length command. So I want to go 1 through the length of the first column in the player's data frame. So I want to take the player's data frame. Now when I want to locate something in particular, we use square brackets next to the data frame, and we give the location of what I am looking for. So I want to find something in specifically the first column, ignoring the rows. So in R, it's always going to be row, column, comma, column. So I don't care about the row. I'll leave it blank, comma, I want column number 1. So I'm going to take a sample of the number 1 through the length, the number of entries in that player's, in the name column for my player's data frame, comma, how many do I want to sample? I want to sample 8. Do I want to do this with replacement? Yes, I want to. So replace, no, I don't want to do it with replacement. So we'll hit replace equals false. Remember, no replacement if we're doing a simple random sample. So we'll hit run. And let's just take a peek. So selection is the numbers. I'm just going to do this down here for a second. I don't really need to save that. I just want to see what's in here. So I'll write selection. So these are the numbers that are going to be selected. Now I need to figure out which player names correspond to that. So I want to get the names of the players in rows 4, 2, 3, 6, 11, 10, 16, 12. So to find the names that I pick, let's call this selection.names. I want it to take the player's data frame, and I want it to give me the names that are in the rows in the vector selection, comma, what column do I want? I want the first column because I'm looking at names. So let's run that. And for kicks, let's go selection.names. And run that. So we'll see the list of the names. And that is going to be our sample that we're taking. Just for kicks, I showed us being a little more fancy in the notes. We can use our paste function if I want to combine text and other output. So say I want to say something like one of the selected people is comma selection dot names. So it's going to paste for each of the objects in selection names that phrase one of the selected people is followed by the names in my selection.name. So let's just run that and see what I mean. One of the selected people is Charles Pang. So notice the first thing was 4. Who's in the 4th row? Charles Pang. And that is how we read in our names. And now when I'm done, if I am done working on this, I am going to close my project. Well, first I should save this file. Let's call this Q1 class 5 Now what I'm going to do, so it's been named, it appears here. You can't see my save box, that's okay. Trust me, I just saved a file like we normally would. Now I'm done working, I'm going to close the project. So I'm going to click here and go close project. I could also do this from the file menu if I wanted to. So close project. Do I want to save the workspace image? It's good practice to not save your workspace image, so that every time you come back, everything is cleared out of the console and the environment. So if you want to get stuff back, you just rerun what your R script is. This is the point of keeping an R script, that you don't need to make sure that everything stays in your environment. You can just rerun the script. Don't do things that aren't just, I want to test what's in here down in the console. Anything that's creating something that's important stays in your R script so that you can rerun it. So I'm going to click not save. And now when it closes, notice it went back to project none. And it also has that random file that I had up here and back to the mishmash of things. Now if I want to go work on something new for another class, I am free to do so. And that is doing a simple random sample and a little bit of information on using projects and a good workflow for you for future assignments that you do in R.